Good evening, everyone. This is Robert Jamieson. Welcome to our online chess lesson for Thursday, the 22nd of May. I think we have a couple of new students today, so I'll just mention what we normally do is we start off with a puzzle, and I'll ask you questions, or you might come up with a solution to the puzzle, and you type your answer in the question box, and I have a look at it on my screen here. And as we go through the lesson progressively, I give most of you a turn for a few minutes, so I unmute you and you help out with the lesson. So let's start off. I think Maha's had a good go at the puzzle. We'll see if she's there. You there, Maha?
Yes.
Hello, Maha. Talk to me. Hello, how are you tonight?
Hi. Good.
Hi.
Good.
You've had a bit of a go at the puzzle?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think it's going to be a win for white, a win for black, or a draw?
I'd say if they play really accurately, then it'll be more like a draw. But if either side makes any small mistake, black will have a high chance of winning.
All right. So with best play, it's a draw for white. Okay. Let's see what the others think. So, guys, type in the question box whether you think it's going to be a win for white, a win for black, or a draw. And we'll see if you agree with Maha. Maha thinks best play will get a draw. So Oliver's going draw. Cadence likes white. Oscar likes white. Callum likes white. No one thinks it's a win for black. Looks like white has the preference. All right, Maha. Now, so what move did you choose? What's your first move?
King to d4.
Okay, that looks pretty obvious.
The best he can do is try to come and stop that pawn.
Right, so let's. We've been talking in recent lessons about how we decide on our moves. So, what made you to decide that King d4 was a good move?
Well, I've been eliminating other moves. If the queen moves, the pawn will immediately be able to queen itself. But then queen to f1, I realized just then that it is not a bad move.
Okay. But you
Although
like
it does
King
kind of overwork.
You still like King d4?
Yes, I think the queen will be overworked on f1.
All right, and your idea of King d4, what's your master plan there?
Black could play king to f2.
Okay, and what you're going to bring your king across and take the pawns or something, or the king's going to help the queen? What's the idea?
King's going to go. King's trying. They're just trying to live. White's just trying to live here because black's going to queen, and then once it's queen, that's when all your preference comes out. So you can either take the pawn like you're saying, or come over and you help the queen take the H pawn.
Okay, all right. Now, just in terms of how we decide on our moves, I think there's probably three ways we can normally do it. The main way, of course, is analysis. So we look at a line and you say, I go there, he goes there, I go there, he takes me, I take him back, and so on. That's the normal sort of way we choose our moves. We can also choose our moves based on the big picture. So we might say, like, our plan is to attack on the king side, so I need a move to help that. So I've got my rook on the queen side not helping, so I'll move my rook over the king side. So we've chosen that move based on the big picture. Or sometimes, if not much is happening, I just say to myself, how can I improve my position? And I might make a little move, h3, or put a rook on an open file, or just some little move that doesn't need analysis but improves my position. So in this position, Maha's chosen King d4, and I think you've looked at the big picture. You've said, hey, my queen's trying to stop those pawns all by itself. It needs the king to help. So my plan is I'm going to rush the king over to the king side and see if I can help. So you're going over to the king side to help the queen. Is that pretty much it, Maha?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Okay. So let's say I'm black. Now, what am I going to do? Trying to get rid of this green arrow.
King to f2.
King to f2. I don't think I'm going to do king to f2, because then you would take my h pawn. So I'm going to make a move pawn to f2. All right, so I want all you guys now. You can be white. Tell me what move you think white should play. Should he move king across? Should white move the queen across? Type in on the question box what move you would make for white. I don't know why that silly green arrow is still there. Let me go back, see if I can get rid of it. Nope, still there. Must be a bug. So Oscar's wanting to do king e3. Yaifu likes queen f1. Unal likes king e3. Liam likes king e3. Nathan wants to go to e4. I presume that's king e4. Callum likes king e3. What are you liking, Maha? What would be your preference?
King a4. By a lot.
King e4. All right. Why do you choose king e4?
You're never going to stop that pawn with your king. If it's a lifesaver, you'll stop it with the queen. So go for the G pawn. You'll never stop the F pawn with your king.
Okay, but you've got the f pawn stopped with the queen. Actually, you've got the right move, Maha. King e4 wins for white. Most people, I think, would play king e3, trying to pick up the f pawn next move. Like if I move my king, you can just take my f pawn, and that looks pretty good. So what do you think black should play here, everyone? Let's say we've chosen the king e3 line, even though my king e4. Black to play. What move would you make for black? Callum saying pawn to f1 to get a queen. It's a bit sacrificial. Maha wants to get a queen. Callum's now changed his mind because I can just take it. Cadence wants king h3. Anyone else? Black's in a bit of a pickle, I think. What do you reckon, Maha? What's the best way for black?
King f1, queen takes f1.
So you want to go pawn to f1, but I just take it, don't I? So how's that helped you?
Oh yes. I didn't think the queen would be on f1. I thought she'd be on f2.
Okay. So what move would you make instead?
Now I'd say that your pieces are kind of stuck. So king to h3, trying to give way.
Yeah. So I think most people would play king h3. Right. Now this is a valuable lesson because everyone in this position would say, well, what can I do? I can't get a queen because he just takes it. If I move my king, he's going to take my pawn on f2. I'm in a real pickle. I'll just go king f3 and hope for the best. So he'll probably play king f2. But a really good player would use his imagination and look at silly looking moves, and he wouldn't just reject them out of hand. He'd look that little bit deeper than probably most of us would. And in fact, in this position, black plays pawn to f1 equals queen. Queen takes queen. And in this position, black has a really good move. Who's going to be the first to spot it and type it on the question box? How can black save the game? Who's going to see it? Because all of us stopped here and said, oh, what a silly idea. Queen takes queen, that's no good. Dinal's seen it. Callum's missed it. Oliver's missed it. Maha's missed it. All right, I think I fooled most of you. Well done, Dinal. That's good. The answer is you play h1 equals queen. White has to take. And what have we got here, Maha?
Stalemate?
Stalemate. So black, by sacrificing both his pawns, has sneakily got out of what was going to be a pretty much certain loss and achieved a stalemate. Right, but I thought that was an interesting position just to give you a lesson in not out of hand rejecting moves because they lose a queen or they look silly. Sometimes if you analyse one or two moves deeper, you might find something really good. Okay, thanks, Maha. I'll give someone else a go. Let's go and talk to, we'll go with Cadence. You there, Cadence?
Yep.
How are you tonight?
Yep.
You're good? Okay. Now, I've got this fantastic game to show you guys because today I want to really check your imagination to see, like, we just had a little test with a puzzle. Not many of you saw sacrificing your pawns to get a queen, but we need to be able to look at moves like that and not necessarily reject them. So I've got this game to show you, and we're going to see how many people can use their imagination to see some really cool moves. All right, let's get started. I'll go in presentation mode. All right, white goes e4, black goes e5, knight c3. This is called the Vienna opening. Black plays bishop c5, and we're going to be black for most of the time in this game. Now, white does a really strange move. He does knight a4. What do you think of that move, Cadence? Would that be a good move or a bad move?
I think it's an okay move.
All right, tell me why it's an okay move. A, I'm moving a piece twice in the opening, which is meant to be naughty. And B, I'm taking my knight off a good square in the middle and putting it on the side of the board. So what's the good bit about it?
You're threatening to take the bishop.
Yep. But can't the bishop just move somewhere and then my knight's looking silly? So it's probably a bit of a dodgy move. All right, now everyone, I want you to put your thinking cap on. This often happens in a game of chess. Your opponent makes a move and you think immediately, oh, that can't be a good move. That looks funny. So you have to think of what's wrong with the move and what we can do to exploit it. So let's say we're black here. White's just played this funny knight a4 move. What move do you reckon black should do? So have a little think, type in the question box what move you reckon black should perhaps do here. Because he has a pretty interesting move. Cadence is suggesting d6, keeping developing. Though presumably white will play knight takes bishop then and get rid of the bishop.
Yeah.
Have a look at some other moves as well, Cadence, in case of something better. Maha suggesting bishop d4, but I think white would just play c3 and chase the bishop away. Oliver's looking at knight a6 to protect the bishop. Only trouble is, Oliver, I play bishop takes knight, and when you take me back, then I can take knight takes bishop on c5, so you lose a piece. Callum wants to bring his queen out really early in the game with queen h4. With a double attack on my f-pawn and my e-pawn. But I just play queen e2, then knight f3 and chase the queen away. Nathan's looking at b6. Maybe, that's not too bad. No one's come up with a really imaginative move. Now, Cadence, what do I say to look at when you're in a position you think there might be some tactics? Look at all
Checks and captures.
checks and captures. So have you looked at all checks and captures just in case there's something really cool?
Yep.
All right. Are there anything that's any good?
Not really.
Not really. There's only one check and one capture, isn't it? Bishop takes f2. And that'd be silly because we need the bishop for a pawn, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I've got Dinal, Oliver, Nathan, and Maha all screaming bishop takes f2 now. So let's use our imagination, and we won't just reject it out of hand because it loses a piece for a pawn. Let's have a quick look. Takes, so the king will take. So now the question is, have we got a good follow-up move? So guys, what's black's good follow-up move if he's got one in this position?
I think it's queen f6.
Queen f6. So if you go queen f6, won't I just block with my knight? And now my king's looking fairly safe. So you're just a bishop for a pawn down? So you're just a bishop for a pawn down? What do you think?
Yep.
Yep. Oliver's found it. Maha's found it. Is there another move? Remember to look at all checks and captures, Cadence.
Queen to h4.
Okay. So would that be a good check? What would white do then?
Block with the pawn.
Block with the pawn. Okay. And what would black do then? I'm attacking your queen. Look at all checks and captures.
I don't know. I don't know.
You'd have to move your queen. Can't you do queen takes e4? And now you've got a double attack because you're attacking the rook and you're attacking the knight. So this would be good for black. You'd be picking up material. So let's go back. So maybe g3 isn't the best one. Has white got anything else apart from g3? We'd have to move the king somewhere. Where could we move the king? No idea? All right, I'll move on to see if Callum knows. Callum, you won a queen h4, didn't you? Hello, Callum. Talk to me. Callum's not talking. All right, we'll try Derek. Hello, Derek. Hi. So we worked out white can't play g3, so what do you reckon he has to do? He'd have to move his king somewhere, but where? Which square?
Maybe F3 or
So you go
E4.
to F3. You want which square do you choose? What do you reckon is the best one? You want to try F3?
E3.
E3. Yeah, F3 is no good because I can go queen F4 check. You go to E2. Then I take you on E4, and I've got your knight. So really, there's only one square, king E3. So did you see bishop F2 check or not? Go ahead.
No.
No. Okay. So what do you think now? So black sacrificed a bishop for a pawn, but white's king's roaming around a bit. So do you reckon it'd be better for black or better for white? What's your gut feeling?
Better for the white.
Okay, so it's probably better for white unless black can do something really quickly to annoy that king and maybe get some material back or checkmate the king. So what move do you reckon black should do here?
Knight F6.
Okay, so that would be a double attack on the e pawn. Let's have a look. Knight f6. Could I just play, say, queen f3 and I've got everything covered then? Yeah, so not an f6. Remember to look at all checks and captures. Anything else?
Queen E4.
Queen to where for?
F4.
I'm getting a bit echo. You say f4.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Very good. Queen f4 check. Now again, if white's king goes back, we can gobble the e pawn. So the king pretty much has to go d3. You still reckon white's better, or are you a bit worried about white's king?
White's king is pretty safe because none of black's pieces can attack it.
Yeah, well, at the moment, black's only attacking with one piece. So it's unlikely the queen by itself will get a checkmate, even though it's a really powerful piece. So what sort of thing does black have to do now?
Develop.
Yeah, he has to get some more attackers out there as quickly as possible. Because if he gives white a couple of moves, like even if he gives white one move, say like if white could play queen f3 now, he'd be pretty safe. If we can get the queens off the board, I'd rather have a piece than an unsafe king, I think. Right, let's see what the guys think. So if we were black, we want to do something really quick to try and annoy white's king. What move do you reckon black should do here? So type in the question box what you'd like to do for black. So Cadence wants knight f6. Maha likes knight c6. Derek likes d5. Oliver likes knight f6. Nathan knight c6. So we've got 3 moves to choose from. Right, which one did you choose, Derek? You chose d5, did you?
Yes.
Why did you choose d5?
Because white can't take on d5 because the queen is attacking the knight.
Yes, okay. I think a lot of the other guys, like you guys, are playing a move that looks like an okay move, so like knight f6, and then you're attacking e4. But you have to say, what is the opponent going to reply? Because if white's got to reply like queen f3, that just pretty well kills off the attack. So we've got to look a little bit deeper to try and keep our attack going. And in fact, Derek, you are right. The best move is d5. Now, did you just play that on feel, or you analysed? You just said that's good because white can't take, but you didn't work out what white perhaps might do instead?
Because you can take on e5 and then next move is mate.
Is it? I take on d5. Where's the mate?
Oh, it's not a mate.
Not a mate. You can take the knight, though, so I don't know what I take on d5. Let's say I was to play queen f3 like I did against the other move. What would you do now that would be really good?
E takes e4.
Right, and I take with the queen.
Bishop f5.
Yeah, bishop f5, and you got me in a pin. So the defense I used queen f3 before didn't work. So d5, good move. Okay, so white's plan says, all right, I'm in a bit of a pickle. I can't play queen f3. I'm going to make a run for it with my king. I'm going to go and hide somewhere on the queen side. King c3. Right, what do you want to do next, Derek?
Queen takes e4.
Say that again slowly. What takes what?
Queen takes e4.
Queen takes e4, right? Why do you choose that?
So you can get some material back.
Yes. And you're opening up the king again. So really now, black's got 2 pawns for the piece. And they're 2 centre pawns in the middle of the board, side by side. And white's king's in a bit of a mess. So you'd say, I think I'd rather be black. I'm only 1 pawn down in theory, and my position is looking pretty strong. All right, so well done, good move. Now, white says, okay, I've still got my plan. I'm going to run to b3. All right, let's have another go, guys. We're trying to finish him off quickly and get our bits out. Black to play. What move would you guys do here? So Maha is saying queen d4. Not quite sure how that helped. Oliver likes bishop e6. Maha is now going queen c4, but I'm going to take you with my bishop, Maha, so don't put it there. Derek's liking knight c6. Liam's liking queen c4. I'm going to take it with my bishop, Liam. You and Maha both want to lose your queen. Sam's liking bishop d7, hitting the knight again. What do you reckon, Derek? Any of them appeal?
Knight c6.
All right. Why do you like knight c6? What's your idea?
Because it threatens mate on b4.
True. It threatens mate on d4, and in some lines maybe knight a5 check might be handy as well. So knight c6 is probably the best move. Black has a few to choose from. Some of you chose, I think, bishop e6. That looks pretty attacking. If you were white here, Derek, what would you do if black did bishop e6? Threatening d4 check, I'm imagining.
Maybe knight c5.
Knight c5. He's still going to hit you with pawn to d4 check. Any other ideas?
Then can't you just do knight takes c6?
You can. Then let's have a quick look. Knight c5 there, knight there. What if I chuck in queen d5 check? I think I've at least got a perpetual, maybe a bit more. Maybe, all right, maybe that's possible. What I'm thinking is I'm trying to block the attack, so I think I would try and sack a pawn back and play d4. Then if, for instance, he was to take, I'm going to go to d3, either with my bishop or my queen, and try and block it off. So that would be my thought. But in the game, black played a different move. He actually did knight a6. Okay, so he's threatening queen b4 check, a bit like your knight c6, only on a different square. Should I take it with the bishop, do you think, Derek, or what should black do?
Take the bishop, because the knight's attacking and the bishop's not doing that.
True. Now, what's the drawback, though? Now that the pawn's taken on a6, can't my rook get in? Rook b8. And your bishop was covering c4. So, in theory, it may be all right, but in practice, I think it's not working. What white actually did was pawn to a3. What's his plan there, do you reckon?
Hide his king on a2.
Yeah, he's probably going to try and hide his king on a2 if he gets the chance. All right, I'll give someone else a go. Thanks for your help, Derek. Let's try Dinal. You there, Dinal?
Yeah.
You're going pretty well tonight. You've seen a few of the harder moves, so well done. Now, how do you reckon Black's going here? Is he going all right, or is he still a piece two pawns down and you'd rather be white?
Black's going pretty good.
All right. So we need a move here because we know what White's plan is. He's probably going to say play knight c3, attacking the queen, and then his king's going to go to a2 and hide. So we need something to try and counter that. So let's everyone have a think. Again, black to play. Type in on the question box what move you reckon black should do here. So white's trying to get his king to safety and get a couple of pieces out, and black's trying to kill off white before his king can run away and hide. Sam's looking at bishop e6 again. Oliver's looking at b5. So I think I just take it with my bishop with check. It's probably helping me, Oliver. Hayden likes bishop e6. You're saying bishop e6 as well. That's your preference?
Yeah.
Most people are agreeing with you. But so let's have a quick look at it again. So bishop e6, what's white's reply going to be? You're probably threatening d4 check. Remember what I did a minute ago?
Yeah.
So I think white would play d4, wouldn't he? So that blocks the pawn to d4 check. Even if it does lose another pawn, I think the king can probably run away and hide. All right. In fact, black didn't do bishop e6. So come on, everyone, put on your thinking cap. Try looking at unusual moves. There might be a really good move here that no one suggested yet. You never know. Remember what I said about looking at all checks and captures? Callum's looking at queen b4, which doesn't look too good. Maha's looking at knight b4. Doesn't look too good either. Got any backup moves, Dinal, if it's not bishop e6? Oliver's saying bishop d7. That mightn't be too bad. Hayden's looking at knight c5, but I think I'll just take it with my knight. Maha's come up with an interesting idea. Oscar's still playing queen c4, trying to lose his queen for a bishop. Right, Dinal. Any other ideas? Pressure's on.
No.
Knight somewhere? Have you looked at all checks and captures? Dinal, have you looked at all checks and captures?
Most of them.
None of them are of any interest? So far, Maha's the only one who's found a really interesting idea. And in fact, it's one of the most interesting moves ever played in chess. Surely after a hint like that, Dinal, you can almost get it. Derek's still trying to play b5. It's not b5. Okay, I think I've got you stumped except for Maha. I'll show you what black played. Black played queen takes a4 check. Dinal, what's going on? Why does he want to give up his queen for a knight?
Because he could maybe get a quicker checkmate.
Okay, so let's see if it... Now, did you look at that or not?
A bit, but I don't think it would work.
Yeah, okay. So, well, the first step is we need to look at these funny moves. As I say, look at all checks and captures. So, the next step is not to say, oh my God, he just takes me, I've lost queen for knight. That's terrible. We must analyse a little bit deeper. Got to try and force you guys to use your imagination to look at a little bit deeper. So, hit me with another move. Does black have anything here that may justify giving up his queen? What can he do? Nathan's got it. Oliver hasn't got it. Oscar's got it. Remember to look at all checks and captures, Dinal. Oliver's got it now. Callum hasn't got it. What do you reckon, Dinal? Has black got a good move here?
Maybe bishop d7.
So you do bishop d7. Can't I just run away to b3? And I can hide on a2 and you can't get me? So you're just going to be a queen down? Right. Any other checks or captures to look at? No? All right. I'll see if Liam can help us. See if he's got an answer. You there, Liam?
Yep.
All right. So what move should Dinal have looked at that he hasn't chosen?
I think it might be knight c5.
Right. Now, why is that any good? Because that's just a check. I just go to b4, don't I? So you're not going to get me in checkmate. So you've given up a queen for 2 checks and a knight, is that right, or you got some plan?
I was just looking at all checks, and it looked like the best one.
Okay, all right. So let's not stop now. It definitely is the best one. So we need to look further. Have we got any follow-up, or is this just terrible and we're letting his king back out and he's attacking our knight? So guys, help Liam. We want to use our imagination. Remember I said this is a very interesting game where we have to use a lot of imagination. Black to play. What can black do here? Nathan's got the right answer. Well done, Nathan. Oliver has not got the right answer. Not knight e4, Oliver. You're looking at all checks and captures, Liam?
Yep.
All right. Any of them look like they might be worth a bigger look? Callum's got the right answer now.
Maybe a5 check.
Yes, a5. Now, why might that be good? That doesn't that lose a knight for nothing? What's the advantage of that?
Well, you're kind of just getting him further closest to you.
Yes, the king. See, a5 check. Now, I don't think we can go to c3 because he just does d4 check, and that's even worse. So white's pretty much forced to take the knight. So black is now down a queen and a bishop, but white's king, talk about unsafe. So the king can't go to b4 or c4 or d4. So it can't really escape back into its own territory. So surely there's some way we can trap him and maybe get him in a checkmate. So this line, even though we've given up a queen and a knight, is really worth a good look. So I want you guys to put your thinking cap on. Nathan says he remembers the game. Maybe that's why you got the last one, Nathan. Okay, black to play. What should black do? So we're trying to trap white's king somehow. Now, where can he go now? He can go to d5 or he can go to b5 at the moment. There is only 2 escape squares. So Oliver's suggesting knight f6. Cadence is suggesting bishop d7. What are you looking at, Liam? Can you see anything that might help us?
I was sort of looking at b6.
Yeah. You do b6. Well, what if I take you on d5 then?
Then maybe you could go bishop e6.
We could go bishop e6 and then the king can't retreat. That might be possible. Is that the best one or is there another one to look at? Oliver's screaming out a4. I don't know why we want to go to a4, Oliver, because that gives the king b4 as an escape square. I think Callum's got the right move. Well done, Callum. Any other ideas, Liam?
Not really.
Okay, so well, we don't have to sort of checkmate him immediately, so long as he can't escape back. So, how is he threatening to escape back at the moment?
By taking the d pawn and then going to e4.
Yeah, he'd take the d pawn and then he'd run back via c4 or e4 or somewhere. All right, so we want to stop that. So what's the best way of stopping that and maybe getting more pieces into the attack? Because at the moment we haven't really got any pieces attacking. They're all still at home base.
Maybe bishop e6.
Okay, not bishop e6.
Or c6.
So c6 is possible. The trouble is, then I can go to b6 or d6. It's going to be hard for you to get me on the black squares, I think. All right, I'll show you. Black chose knight e7. So that's getting in the knight into the game. So that's covering the d5 square and the c6 square in case we need to. So that's sort of further cutting the king off a bit. Okay. White's go. So white says, all right. What is black threatening? Can you tell me? Is black threatening anything? Has he got a checkmate? If black had to move now, what would he do?
He doesn't have a checkmate.
You sure? Look at all checks and captures. If it was black's go now.
Is it b6?
If you went b6, I'd have to go to b5, wouldn't I? And what could you do then?
Is it bishop d7?
Yeah, that's looking like checkmate to me. All right, so black does have a threat. So the only way white can get out of it really is go bishop check. All right, Liam, what do you want to do? Do you want to block the check? Do you want to move your king to f8 or d8? What's the best way to try and help ensnare the white king?
I think maybe king f8.
Why would you choose f8 instead of d8?
Because it's kind of like hiding him away.
But hang on. Let's look at the big picture. Is the big picture that black's king is in trouble and needs to hide away? Or is the big picture that white's king's in trouble and trying to checkmate it?
The big picture is white's king is in trouble and he's
All
trying
right,
to run away.
so is black's king going to help the checkmate by covering squares if it's on f8 or d8?
No.
Which one will be better in terms of restricting white's king in a move or two so it can't sort of escape?
d8.
d8, very good. See, most people go king f8, but when you look at it logically, king d8 is the go. Right. Now, let's just switch sides for a second. I'll pretend you guys are white. Now, black is threatening b6, and that's actually checkmate. Is there any way white can get out of it? So put your thinking cap on. If you're white, I need you to find me a move that gets out of checkmate if there is a move there. What can white do? So Oliver's saying bishop b6. Illegal, Oliver. Doesn't move like that. Now Oliver's got the right idea. Dinar's going bishop a4. That will be b6, king b5, bishop a6 mate. So that only delays it a bit. Dinar likes bishop a4. Oscar likes bishop c6. What do you reckon, Liam? Is any of them getting out of it?
Well, some of them are when you move the bishop.
So where do you move it? What's the best one?
It's not a4.
Yep, it's not a4. So where does it have to go?
c6.
Yes, c6 is probably the only move to get out of immediate checkmate. All right, well done. Thanks. I'll give someone else a go. Let's go and try. We'll try Timmy. You there, Tim?
Yeah.
All right. You reckon White's in a bit of trouble, or you reckon he's going to get out of it?
I think he's in quite a bit of trouble.
I think he's in a bit of trouble. That poor old king. He's stuck right in the middle of the black camp. But we need to finish him off. All right. So what do you reckon Black should do? I'll get everyone to help you. Black's move. White's trying to sacrifice his bishop so his king's got an escape square on b5. So what can Black do? Remember to look at all checks and captures. So Dinar's liking b6 check. Derek's liking b6 check. Nathan's liking b6 check. Oliver wants to play b takes c6. Oscar wants to play knight takes c6. What do you reckon, Tim? Any of them appeal to you?
I like b6 check.
Yeah, I think b6 checks the go. All right, because that takes one square away from the king. So the king has to go to b5. Right, now what's our follow-up? He's threatening to run away, isn't he? He's threatening to go to a4 and b3 and a2. So if his whites go,
Yeah.
he can sort of escape. What can we do? Everyone help us. Black to play. If we could get a checkmate, this could be a really good brilliancy. Or if we get the wrong one, we let him escape and we've stuffed it up. So Oliver's liking bishop a6. Callum likes bishop a6. Derek likes knight c6. Sam's going bishop a6. Tim, any idea?
Bishop a6.
All right. So tell me what you plan. What have you analysed? You're going to go bishop a6. I've got to go king a4. What can you do then?
And then
Can you get a checkmate?
no.
No. Okay. So we better find something else then. What else can we do? Remember, look at all checks and captures. Oliver's screaming out a4. He wants to get his rook in the attack, but that gives me the b4 square. What do you reckon, Tim? You got anything else other than bishop a6?
No, not really.
Not really. Did you look at knight takes c6? Is that any good?
Could be.
So what would happen after knight takes c6? Run me through that. Knight takes c6, king takes, and now black's threatening to escape with king takes d5, or he can run back to a6. That's a b5, or rather. Does this look any good or not?
You could do bishop d7 check.
Okay, bishop d7, so I'd take on d5. You going to be able to get me now, or am I running away?
I think you're running away.
I think I'm running away too. Okay. But there could be an idea that at the moment only Nathan's seen because he's seen the position before. Everyone else, put your thinking cap on. Black to play. Has he got any good move here? Bishop d7 we looked at, but it didn't seem to work. Oliver's found it. Well done, Oliver. Sam's going bishop d7, but we tried that one, Sam. Nathan's going rook b8. I think I take on d5 and run away. Any inspirations coming to you, Tim? You looked at all checks and captures?
Yeah. Yeah.
We did bishop d7.
Oh,
What other
is
ones?
it?
What other ones have you looked at? Nathan's found it. Well done, Nathan. Come on, Tim. Look at all checks and captures. Tim, are you stuck, or you've seen it? We tried bishop d7. Wasn't that? What else could we do?
Yeah. You could do bishop b7.
Wouldn't that be silly because the king would just take it?
Yeah.
So that's no good. We stop analysing, we go back.
Go back.
Why don't we just be radical and look one more move deep? Does black, in fact, have a good move here? Where's white's king threatening to escape to? He's threatening to take our rook, and he could also run away to c6. What can black do?
You could do king d7.
Yes! Threatening rook b8, checkmate. And I can't really get out of it. I can give a spike check, but we just go to d6. Doesn't make any difference. So let's have a look. So knight takes c6, king takes c6, bishop b7, very good move. So you can see how you have to look a little bit deeper. But white doesn't take it. He plays king b5. He's a wake up to our trap. What can we do now?
You could go bishop a6.
Okay, bishop a6. All right, now question for everyone. White's king's in check. He's only got 2 squares. He can go back to c6 or he can go to a4 and try and escape. Type in the question box which move you reckon he should do. Should he go king c6 or king back to a4? Oliver wants to go to a4. Nathan wants to go to c6. Cadence wants to go to a4. Oscar wants to go to a4. Dinah wants to go to a4. Nathan's the only one who wants to go to c6. Liam now wants to go to c6. So, Timmy, we've got 2 votes for c6, and I think we've got 3 or 4 votes for a4. Which one do you want to go for?
A6.
Why do you choose c6? What's wrong with going to a4? Can't white's king now escape and go back?
Yeah, I think actually he's got a good chance of getting back.
So what would black play? Hang on, let's just check it out thoroughly. What would black play here? Has black got a good move here? White's king wants to go back to b3. We're trying to trap his king. Nathan's seen it. Yeah, we can go bishop c4. And next move, he can't stop b5 mate. We've got him. So, poor old white has to go back to c6. We go to b7. And it's the greatest perpetual in the history of chess. The greatest draw in the history of chess, probably. What a fantastic game, where black played that sacrifice, queen takes a4. He only ended up getting a draw, but it was so pretty with white's king walking out there all on his lonesome. So, I think that was a valuable lesson in you guys today to try and use your imagination to look at these funny moves and not just to stop thinking straight away, but to look that little bit deeper, and you might end up playing a brilliant game like that. You never know. All right, well, that's the end of today's lesson. I'll look forward to seeing you all next week for another lesson. Thanks and good night.